All right, so it is time. So this is the Infinite Game, and I normally talk about alternative investments. And the next few months, I'm going to be talking about trading cards, specifically Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, sports cards, even pop culture cards, things you need to get into. And then I'll probably get into comic books, NFTs, and also your normal forms of investment, stocks, real estate, what's going on in the economy, and what factors affect really human psychology, sociology, and neuroscience, and why people make financial decisions, so you can be a prepared and successful investor. So the biggest thing is today is going to be hot takes. I have a huge hot take, in a sense. It's like, oh, you got to invest in the GOATs. Okay, it's cool. So who are the GOATs, right? What makes a person a GOAT? It's like, oh, the best ever in the sport. Really is not necessarily the best player ever. Even the NBA would say this, that probably some of the guys who are probably the best in basketball aren't in the NBA right now. And in the NBA, the National Basketball Association, has said this for years. So if they say this, and there's so much money in the basketball, and there's so many people around the world who get into basketball, then you gotta say this for all the other sports. You gotta say this for football. You gotta say this, I think it's to a certain extent in soccer. I mean, there are a lot of Americans who could be amazing in soccer and top 20 in the world, top 15, top 10 in the world, but there aren't. Christian Pulisic is really good, but he's not gonna ever crack top 10 in the world, and definitely not all time. But there are guys who are coming up who are getting better, and there are guys, as far as training, are doing well. So there's certain guys, and a lot of it has to do with not just particular talent, but also having the right coaches and developing around the right time. So you have, I give you some examples. For soccer, I would say Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, they're the most popular. You look at popularity first, and then you look at stats and accomplishments. And honestly, people typically look at popularity first. Then there are team accomplishments, this is a team sport, and then they look at individual accomplishments. So specifically championships. So that's what they look at. So it doesn't matter if there's some kind of situation that prevents it or something else. So Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi are the top two soccer players. And they're the most popular soccer players ever, so that really makes them the two GOATs. A lot of people don't agree with it, but their cars are going to sell for more based on the population versus Pele and Maradona. And then there are other guys who are great, but just for other situations, they're not going to be as great as them. And then also team, like you can kind of control where you go, but where you start your career doesn't necessarily help you. It also doesn't necessarily help with your development as well. So you could be playing for a team that is just horrible, and the competition is extremely good, and that creates issues. So Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi are the GOATs and guys that you should be going after, then probably Pele, and then maybe Maradona. But a lot of guys people don't know. They know them. And honestly, I would say David Beckham would probably be over those guys. His cars are very expensive, even though he might be 20th best all time. And some hardcore soccer fans will disagree, but he's extremely popular and he's very successful outside of it. It's really around about the time that you come in, and those people are going to be the best. Another example, LeBron James and Michael Jordan. LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan. He's more popular. More people are going to know who he is. More people are going to care. If people you don't care, then you're not going to get to their cards. So the other thing is, I told you about, popularity. And then accomplishments. Like, what did they accomplish for their team? If it's an individual sport, then it's winning and accomplishments in terms of winning as an individual, then individual stats, and then people kind of go in. This is where people go into the weeds about certain things. But honestly, before that, I would definitely say that I would go and look at pop count, like how many of their cars exist. The lower the pop count, the better it's going to be. The reason why Wayne Gretzky cars are selling for the tops, I believe PSA 10, there's like only 2 of them, selling for over $5 million or $10 million, is because there's 2. There's 2. There's not 318 like Michael Jordan, plus you have 6 BGS 10s. You got 2. That's why it sells higher than the Michael Jordan cards. If he only had 2 of them, those 2 cars will be more expensive because he's more popular in a more popular sport. And also what sport and the popularity of the sport matters too, right? Like if you're the top badminton, this is common sense. If you're the top badminton champion and greatest of all time in badminton, it won't do as well as, basketball. So that's something else that you need to look at, and that's something else you need to think about. Basketball, LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan. He's way more popular. You can argue about pop counts, right? Like Michael Jordan does have less pop count than LeBron James. So that's something that kind of factors in. But the biggest one is popularity. Biggest one is popularity. LeBron James dwarfs Michael Jordan. It has to do with social media and the times, but and then also the evolution of the game. But then also it has to do with winning. You can argue, but longevity kind of plays a role. And technically, LeBron James has won more than Michael Jordan. Even though Michael Jordan has 6 championships and never lost in the finals, it's going to go down. And LeBron is still having his career. He could end up winning 6. And then he could have more finals appearances. And it doesn't matter about the percentage because there's other things that go into it. There's luck. There's no say if Jordan played for 20 years that he would won, more championships and win, 14 championships. That's not guaranteed at all. He just basically retired while he was on top. And most athletes don't do that. Most of them, they have to be in so low of a point where they're kicked out or they're just embarrassed so much that they just like, man, I got to retire, or they just find something they really like. So, yeah. So when you look at popularity, big way to look at this is LeBron, Jordan, and Kobe Bryant are the top 3. You can kind of argue with pop counts and, winning and individual stats, but those are the 3 people you're going to be talking about. Then there's Shaq and Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. So they can be, top 5 Mount Rushmore. Guys like Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, they do have popularity, but they're not as popular as the other guys. And they're not as popular as Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. They're talked about way more than Wilt, Bill Russell. That's more about specifically in the sport, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They're known. They do have popularity, but not like those other guys. When it comes to cards, Neymar Jr. is more popular than most celebrities, most athletes. Does that mean that he is better than Kevin De Bruyne or I think it's Robert Lewinsky? Maybe not, right? Like, for a while he was, but he may not be now. And he may not be considered, top 10 all time, even though popularity. For cards, that doesn't affect when it comes to pricing. Neymar technically would be in the top 10, but there aren't as many people in the soccer cards at the moment that are in the Neymar Jr. That could change. So when it comes to cards, Neymar Jr. is not necessarily in the GOAT conversation. And also, if you're around the same time as Messi and Ronaldo, you're kind of like that third fiddle, and people just, if you're third in anything, people don't care. Nobody knows who in the 2008 Olympics when Usain Bolt had the world record, or 2009 world record in 100 meters, who was third. It was Asafa Powell, but nobody knows that. People just know Usain Bolt, and if you counter in the track, Tyson Gay who was an American track star, and he would have been the fastest person and broke the world records if Usain Bolt didn't exist. Safa Powell, number 3. Probably number 3, number 4, number 5 fastest person ever, but no one cares. Tennis, Roger Federer, but Novak Djokovic is going to pass him. Novak Djokovic is going to pass him. He's going to be more popular. Right now it is Roger Federer, but Novak Djokovic has 19 Grand Slams. Rafael Nadal has 20. Roger Federer has 20 Grand Slams. Guess what? Roger Federer's what? 39? And the other two guys, 33 and 34 for Novak and Nadal separately. And they're better. They're younger and they're better. Roger Federer's out of his prime. And then you got other guys coming up. He's not, maybe he wins one more out of luck, but he's not winning any. Maybe he gets 21. But Rafael Nadal, despite injuries, is going to pass him. He already has 20. He just got to win one more. He always wins the French Open. He's going to pass him. In the next couple years, he's going to pass him. Novak Djokovic is going to pass him. And in career winnings, they're going to win more money and have more wins than Roger Federer. Novak Djokovic is going to have, and with the success is going to be the popularity. And with social media and things such as that, they are already creeping up on Roger Federer as far as popularity. So he's going to be third best ever. He will not be the GOAT. Other sport, Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is the best golfer ever. Why? He's the most popular. It sounds stupid. It's like, oh, no, he's the best ever. It doesn't matter. Also, you got to look at competition. His competition wasn't as hard as Tiger Woods is. And no one dominated as much as Tiger Woods in that time period. Tiger Woods is the best. He's the most popular. People know about him more than they know about any other golfer. So when they buy cars, they're going to go for Tiger Woods. If they get deep into it, then they'll be like, oh. But it's really, the GOAT is whoever everyone knows. Tiger Woods, period. Other guys, when it comes to, other sports, cricket, I can't pronounce his name. It's M.S. Dhoni. I think it's Dhoni. He's the best in cricket. Usain Bolt is the best runner ever. Period. Best runner ever. I mean, I know other guys like David Rashida, other who ran the 800, and other guys who are amazing runners, but they're not better than Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt is the most well-known. He has more rare records and gold medals than most of these other guys who run. So he's the greatest. People are going to look at Usain Bolt's cards. They're not going to be going after somebody else. So it just doesn't register. When it comes to female tennis, Serena Williams. She's the most well-known, most popular. Then, her wins and things back it up, but she's the most popular. And then it's Maria Sharapova. She has more endorsements than most of these athletes today. Right? She has multiple businesses. I mean, the person who's going to surpass all of them is Naomi Osaka and probably Coco. Venus Williams is already mentoring Coco. She's going to be very popular. But really, it's going to be Naomi Osaka. She's going to surpass Serena Williams. It's basically guaranteed if she continues to play tennis and continues to develop her game. And she's going to be the most famous. And everybody's going to consider her the greatest ever because everybody's going to know her more than they know Serena Williams. Period. There's other sports. UFC, Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is the greatest ever. Why? I know a lot about UFC and I kind of disagree with this. But most people are going to say he's the greatest ever. Why? Because when they think of mixed martial arts, they think of Conor McGregor. They can't really think of anybody else. Maybe Khabib Nurmagomedov. John Jones is probably the greatest, and George St. Pierre and Anderson Silva. Those are probably the top 3. But who does everyone think about? They think of Conor McGregor. And then maybe Khabib, because Khabib beat him. Outside of that, John Jones isn't the greatest. Period. It's what everyone else thinks. What other sports? Baseball, Babe Ruth. And then maybe Hank Aaron. There's some things, if you tarnish as far as steroids, or you're caught cheating multiple times, then people will back, even though you're well known. And you kind of become infamous, and people don't want your stuff. Kind of like O.J. Simpson. do something wrong, or you're cheating or being dishonest, or you're hurting other people in a way where no one is agreeing with it, then that's what happens. So yeah, here's my video. Thanks for subscribing, and like below and comment below, and please subscribe.